Hello, this is a demonstration on enrolling in EBS Central, but it's focusing on the problem areas that Frontline are encountering when filling in learners' details in the application. So to start off with, we're looking at specific screens and fields that cover these areas and these personal details that are not being completed. So the fact that people are not searching for the learner if they're already on the system, which creates a duplicate enrolment, telephone numbers not being put in, nationality, domicile, residence, all those type of fields are not being filled in. The address sometimes is being typed in and it's typed in wrong, and in a lot of cases the address is blank, not using the postcode search, and also the new prior attainment field and the employment status. In the enrolment details, we have things that are not being completed, such as if you enroll a learner through Ontrack Hub, then when you go to process or record the payment in EBS Central, you need to change the learner's progress record from Hub to enroll. ESOL courses are set up as parent and child, and there's a confusion over which courses the fees need to be built against. In all cases, fees need to be built against the child courses. Payment waivers are not selected, and also the concession reason is not selected. So basically, we'll be going through these fields in the enrolment screen, and that is here, the EBS Central. Now, obviously, your priority as a frontline member of staff, if a learner presents at your centre and wants to enrol, your priority is to direct them to your digital hub so that they can enrol online, or you can support them to use their own device. So basically, you need to have the time and the patience to show them how to use their own mobile phone or their own tablet to search for courses and then enroll. Now, you will have situations where people will present and insist that they can't enroll online. And in those cases, yes, you will have to enroll them via the system. And situations where that may arise will be if it's a vulnerable learner or it's a learner that has absolutely no ICT skills. So in that case, you use what is comfortable to you. So you can either use the EBS Central, which is this screen here. This will take you all the way through the enrolment process, right through to the payments, and you record the payments on this system. Or you can use the Ontrack Hub. When you go through the Ontrack Hub, it's straightforward. The screens resemble what a learner would be seeing in online enrolment. The only thing that you must remember is that when you get to the end of the process in Hub, you can't record a learner's payments. So once you've filled in, once you've enrolled them, filled in or checked all their personal details, when you get to the end of the process, you then have to flip back to EBS Central to then come in and record the payments in the payment screen and create a receipt. So the other thing to be aware of is that we no longer do rapid enrolments. Rapid enrolments is something we used to do with a different application, the old QLS application, but that is no longer valid. When you're enrolling a learner, you must complete all the fields. So the first thing you would do in the learner screen on the search, you would search for your learner and you would double check that they're not already enrolled on the system. If you're satisfied that they're a brand new learner and they're not on the system, then you would learner and then you add all the details. So problems that we've been having, as you can see, my screen here is an example of everything filled in, but we've been having problems here with the mobile phone number. So again, that's a priority. You need to make sure that that is correct so that we can be sending text messages and contacting learners. Date of birth in a number of cases. Definitely as well the email address, emergency contact and that contact's number. Nationality, very important. For some reason, this has been left blank a lot, I think especially with ESOL enrolments. So you must put the nationality in and tick the UK residence box. Country of domicile is United Kingdom. We've got people here that are saying Brazil, Mexico and wherever, but the bottom line is domicile is which country that you live in. Obviously, if they're doing a course with us, then they have to be living in the United Kingdom. Again, with ESOL enrolments, you need to be checking whether they're an asylum seeker or a refugee and ticking the relevant box. Overseas student is an important field. Once you've ascertained that the learner is an overseas student, it's imperative that you tick this box. This box is important because it factors in to the end of the process. It calculates the overseas enrolment fee. So if you are enrolling a learner that has declared they're overseas, and you get to the end of the process and you see that the fee is not correct, then it's not been calculated correctly because you haven't ticked this box. So you need to come back and tick this box. Again, with the ESOL learners, in terms of what they're declaring, if they're indicating that they've been in the country last 6 months or the 3-year residence rule, then again on the enrolment form or the information that's given to you, they will indicate when they entered the UK. So again, date of entry to the UK must be input here. Household situation, ethnicity, restricted youth, all of these need to be filled in, and definitely the SMS and email. If these boxes are not ticked, then basically the system won't allow you to text message or email learners, and managers, tutors and admin are communicating with learners on a daily basis. So if you haven't ticked either of these, then you're blocking that communication. A tutor might be contacting all their learners to say that the class is cancelled, but the learners won't get the email if this box or the text message, if these 2 boxes are not ticked. Coming down to the address information, ideally what we want you to get into the habit of is using the postcode search, which is this field here. I know by habit a lot of people are typing directly into these fields, but we prefer you to use the postcode search, because once you use the postcode search, addresses will come up automatically from the postcode database, and you select the relevant address, and then the information will flood all of the fields, including the full postcode down here. It's important that this is done, and if I just save, it's important that the address is searched for and populated in this way so that the G demographic details will be populated in this screen here. If you just type the information directly into the fields and save, then this screen will be blank, and we need it to be populated because we're always asked, if not by Ofsted, the DFE, or the borough research and policy departments, and also the mayor as well, about postcode related statistics in the idea stores. And when we run those reports, the information is pulled from this screen here. So that's quite important. Coming back to the prior attainment level, this field is about the level of education that the learner has, and that again is on the enrolment form. But our funding process has changed this year, so this field is now defunct, and what has been replaced, it's been replaced by this here at the bottom of the screen. Use the little arrow to go down, the prior level details. When you enter this screen, basically you click on the add button and you select whatever level the learner has indicated that their education is to. Select the level and you put the current date in. So whatever date that you're doing the enrolment, just put that date in and then save. Also, if I come back to the learner details, you're also indicating here whether the learner has a learning difficulty or not. So here you either have to say yes or no, or prefer not to say. And then the follow-up on that field is to say what type of learning difficulty they might have. If you say no, then that's fine. But if the answer is yes, then here on the support needs, again, you would click on the add button, support need, click on the drop down, select whatever they've declared, and then save. You would also indicate whether it's a primary need. So again, that can be put in, filled in down here. So in order to add, it's always best to add your details at the bottom of the screen. If it's something like severe learning difficulty or moderate or mental health, they might give you some extra information. So once you've selected what the support need is, you can then type in the description box that bit of extra information that they've given you, and then select that it's a primary need and save. Employment. Here is where you will indicate whether the learner is in full-time employment or whether they're unemployed. And again, here you would click on the add button at the top of the screen, and at the bottom here, employment status, you'd come down and select the relevant status. And let's see, and also if they're on a benefit, then select whether they're in receipt of universal credit, a state benefit, or if they're a full fee payer, that they're fully employed, but they're not entitled to a concession fee waiver. Again, and then that is all you would have to fill in there. And again, you would save at the top of the page. So back to the learner screen. Once you've filled in all that information, you would then move on to the enrolment screen. So in this example, we have an ESOL course that is classed as a parent and child course. So the course code that is advertised or input onto the learner's enrolment form is the parent code. In this example, it's Y8579. So you would search for this course code in the search box that would be there. And once you save the course, then underneath it, 2 additional courses will appear. And those are the 2 child courses. Now, if going back to Ontrack Hub, if you have enrolled the learner via Ontrack Hub, when you get here into Central, because you're going to then record the payment, in the enrolment screen, you need to remember that each of these courses need to have the progress code changed. So whenever you enroll in Hub and come into Central, the progress code will be Hub, and you want to change it from Hub to enrolled. So then it's going to come to recording the payment. With ESOL parent and child courses, you do not record the fee against the parent course. You record the fee against the child courses. And these are 2 separate courses charged at £10 each. So we've updated the parent to enrolled, and we now have to come down to the first child course, which is 8603. At the bottom of the screen, you need to ensure that you select the correct waiver. So in this particular case, we are going to select universal credit. And remember, if this was a full fee payer, then you would select the conch waive. So you must select that even if they're paying the full fee. A waiver must be selected for all courses. But here we're doing universal credit. So in terms of the waiver, we're changing the N to a Y. And it may be that you have seen the evidence. So as well as that, we'll change the N to a Y under the evidence. Okay. And our stage code is set to enroll. So that's fine. So we save. And it will ask you about regenerating the fees. And the answer is yes, we do want to do that. So select OK. Confirmed. And then we come down to the second child course and highlight it. And we ensure that the progress code is set to enrolled. It is. And same thing here, we have to indicate that the learner is on universal credit and we've seen their evidence. And we will save. And yes, we want to regenerate the fees. The next stage is to move on to the payments. So if I can just recap, understanding the parent and the child course has been a problem in the past. So that is something that you need to focus on if you're supporting an ESOL assessment session. And for each course, selecting the waivers has been a problem. That has been skipped and has caused problem with the fees. So those are two things that you need to be focused on in this area, a problem area that we want to improve. So moving on to the payment screen. This is the second area where we encounter problems. The screen jumps to receipts and people just go straight in and do a manual receipt. What you need to do is come back here to fees, because you need to attach and match your fees to the course. So in this case, we were looking at the concession fee for Y8603. Now, in this example, if I select concession for Y8603 and concession for Y8604, these are the two courses that we are matching payment to courses. So we've changed the N to a Y on the two concessions, and I've done paste selected. And we've come through to the receipt and you can see it's a zero amount. So in this case, because the learner is on universal credit, this would be a nil receipt. So you would leave that at 0. You would select payments, and in the description, you would put in the course codes. You'd put in your initials or your name, what team you work for. If you're doing an AIMS, you'd need to put the receipt number in as well, or credit card. So again, you've done that off the system, but you'll have a record on your receipt or whatever recorded information of that. So you'd put the receipt number in and then the date. You would also indicate the payment method. Okay, and then you would save. So this is an example of a nil receipt, which needs to be done because the learner, this is an ESOL example, but the learner is on a nil receipt because they're on universal credit. So if I go back, and I decide to make a change, if, for example, instead of universal credit, this learner is not entitled to a concession, they're going to pay the full fee, then you can see they're going to be charged £10. So if I resave that, and I'm regenerating the fee, and I come to the second course, and I'm going to change it from a concession to a full fee payer. I'm not taking the evidence because there's nothing to see, and confirming that it's enrolled. I'm regenerating. When I then move to the payment screen, it's defaulted to the fees screen because it can see that there are fees to be paid. And looking at it here, it's £10 on one of the courses. So I'm selecting the N and changing it to a Y, A8603. I can see along this line here that there are zeros, so that's a nil fee. If there was a fee, then I would be seeing another £10 or £20 there, and there would be £10 or £20 outstanding there. But for all of this, there's only one £10 to be paid there. So I've selected my Y, changed my N to a Y, and I'm doing pay selected. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, the £10 has been pulled through. So my receipt type is payment. My payment method, I'm going to say AIMS. And the details again are going to be Y8603 and Y8604. Receipt number, my initials in or my full name, what team I work for, so that would be what store, and the date. And I will save. So you can see at the bottom of the screen here which particular course the actual £10 came up against. And basically that is the end of the process. So just to recap, if you are a new member of staff or you're somebody that needs a refresher, then you need to speak to your learning champion on site or your team leader, because that training is their responsibility. If nobody has a copy of the EBS Central Induction Manual on your site, then they will contact MIS and we will send a copy through. The induction manual covers logging into the cloud, logging into the system, searching for learners, filling in details, enrolling on courses, paying fees, all that kind of information. So as I say, if you haven't enrolled before or you need a refresher, then that is your team leader's responsibility, but this document is also here to support you. So the problem areas that we've been finding are all these fields not being filled in at all or properly. So these are the areas that you really want to focus on when you're enrolling learners either in EBS Central or in the Learner Hub, sorry, the Staff Hub, Ontrack Hub. So you have both of these options in terms of how you want to enroll a learner. There's no right or wrong way. It's just that you have to remember that if you use this option, the Ontrack Hub, it will be easy for you to fill in the personal details and the enrolment. But remember, when you get to the end of the process, you can't record the fees. So once you've taken the fees, whether it be on the till, in AIMS, credit card, over the phone, obviously you'll have the details of the transaction. So that is when you'll have to come back here to EBS Central in order to ensure that you've selected your course and selected the waiver, made sure you've changed from Hub to ENR, then ensure in the fee screen for the matching that you're going to select the relevant course, changing the N to the Y, doing pay selected, and then creating your receipt. And that is the end of this follow-up. I hope it's been helpful. If anything's confusing, or if you need more information, or something hasn't been covered here, then you can contact the MIS team, and we'll